we also get involved, and actually I would have to say, just statistically, we often find ourselves where we're helping out a client who's already started on a path.
That's true.
And that's okay. I mean, we love that too, because they understand what they're trying to accomplish. And it goes back to like the visibility of seeing how hard it is. So oftentimes I have this problem in a different application. Like, I like to think of myself as a handyman. You know, when you think of like a weekend project and you're like, no problem. We could stand up a deck, no problem. Or we could resurface something. And then you get into it and you're like, holy crap, it's a lot bigger than I anticipated. It's that is also present in connected projects, that people will start off with a prototype or a concept, something that they built internally with, my favorite is like an intern who's doing like a summer internship, and they bolt stuff together using, you know, commercial products that are, you know, basically a laptop with a USB cable and some switches, and that's also useful. We use those.
Sure.
We use them to you know, illustrate the concept, but that's not how you build a product to market. And then what happens is they say, okay, we have this prototype, now we're going to go build it. And then they get like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble because I'm in over my head. And I hadn't thought about like, oh, I've never built something on a microcontroller, or I've never had to build, you know, bare bones or bare metal code. I've never had to write an IoT edge software.
Or the device that you actually want to run that software on, it has to have very unique requirements to achieve the integration of all the systems you have.
Oh yeah.
And you have custom hardware that needs to be designed.
Harshness, waterproof, temperature, vibration, all those things then become a factor that weren't there when you were just doing a concept. And so oftentimes we find ourselves in that scenario. So we've done both. We've done, hey, we have this concept, we'd like you to build a prototype. You know, we did that with Translead when they were, you know, Translead is a Hyundai company, and they have the large 40-foot trailers. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to monitor the wheels and make sure that if there's like an issue with the wheels that might result into some type of thermal event, like the brakes overheating, they were really interested in being able to get early detection. So that you could safely pull over and address the issue, and also potentially avoid loss, because oftentimes a trailer is carrying a lot of goods, and a thermal event, if left undetected and unnoticed, can be catastrophic, both in commercial purposes or, you know, just in individuals in general. So they came and said, hey, we have this idea, can you help us do that? Which was a really cool project. And it had all those elements of like, oh, well, we have something that works on a benchtop, but now we want to put it onto a spinning apparatus that's going to go in all temperatures. How do we make sure that when we're doing this development, we're not just proving, hey, we can do this, but hey, we could do this with a path to production.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably one of my funnest ones.
Yeah, no, I think we'll come back to them when we talk about our offerings specifically. So we were talking a little bit about our process right now, and as you mentioned, Hyundai Translead came through to us in that validation stage. So they had already determined what product they wanted to develop, and now they were looking for actually getting it to work, which is all about validation stuff, that product validation. In that stage, we do prototyping, and proof of concept work. And these are for those. So for an explanation, a prototype is the rawest form, the most simple way for you to convey the product concept. So to your point about bringing new stakeholders in and having a bunch of bullets onto a PowerPoint slide, it doesn't really help people understand what you're talking about. So if you can create a clay model or a 3D printed model, or you can do a storyboard or something that will just help people understand. We did it with Legos. I even remember at one point to help people explain the experience. It doesn't really matter, but it's just the cheapest, fastest way for you to create an artifact that people can understand the concept. Little animated videos we've done.
Visual learning, right?
Learning. And gets people on the same page, as well as it gives you something to expose to consumers or your potential users of that solution to get some early feedback at a really low cost. Then prototyping is all about validation of that experience. So how do I or validation of the technology. Can I actually make this thing work? This is where Hyundai fell over, right? They did a prototype, but it didn't work. I didn't get good temperature readings. The temperatures were inaccurate, and I couldn't do early detection.
Well, and they also had the connectivity. They had issues. Yes, yeah.
So they had their own series of issues, but they were failing at the prototype. But you keep that prototype level all at the how do I resolve the unknown or the risk area of this technology solution and prove that I can do that thing I need to do. And so in some cases it's one thing, in some cases it's two or three things in Hyundai's case, right? So as you just mentioned. And then that last stage is a proof of concept. And this is often taking your prototype and exposing it to the market conditions and getting feedback. And I say market conditions means I might put it into real customers' hands and have them use it. I might, if it's something I'm rolling out and the dealers are going to be involved, or I may have the dealers involved. I want to understand how is it going to impact operations. It's all of those learnings, quantification of things by exposing your concept to the market, and then knowing that it's going to work. Yes, their customers are going to love it. We know how the dealers are going to support whatever the scenarios might be, but you gain those learnings through proof of concept. Once you have that, now you have all the validation. I know consumers are loving this. I know how it's going to work in operations, and I know I've proven the technology and how it needs to be developed. So now I can start working on that production product.